Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into the world of AI-powered security, specifically ScanTech AI Systems Inc., ticker symbol STAI.
Really interesting company, yeah.
We've got a ton of research here, articles, reports, SEC filings, the whole nine yards. We're going to break it all down for you.
We'll help you understand ScanTech AI's business, their competition, their management team, and of course, the all-important financials.
We're also going to look at market sentiment, the ownership structure, and really assess the risks and the opportunities.
By the end, you'll be able to answer the big question, is ScanTech AI a risky gamble or a potential goldmine?
Okay, let's start with the basics. What exactly does ScanTech AI do? What problem are they trying to solve?
Imagine a world where security is seamless, super efficient. You're at the airport, and instead of digging through your bag, taking off your shoes, your stuff just glides through a high-tech scanner.
No more shoe removal. I'm already liking this.
Exactly, that's the vision. They develop and manufacture these advanced scanners powered by AI to detect dangerous items. Weapons, explosives, anything that shouldn't be there.
So they're not just a hardware company, they've got the software side too.
It's a whole package, a comprehensive solution. And it's not just for airports, think seaports, borders, even corporate buildings.
Now that's a pretty broad range.
Yeah.
But they've also gone into a surprising market, correctional facilities. What's the story there?
Smart move, actually. It shows they understand the market. Correctional facilities have unique security needs, and ScanTech is ready to address them.
I guess keeping contraband out of prisons is pretty important.
It's huge. Weapons, drugs, you name it. And it's a big market. Over 6,000 correctional facilities just in the U.S. Plus, they're already protecting 2 major nuclear power plants in Canada.
That's a serious vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so the business model seems solid, but what about the people running the show? What's the management team like?
Tough to find detailed info on their past performance, but their recent wins tell a story. Securing contracts with those correctional facilities, getting their tech tested by the TSA, those are big accomplishments.
Sounds like they're getting the things done. What about their leadership style? How do they interact with investors?
One thing that stands out is their focus on transparency. The CEO is out there addressing market concerns, being upfront about things.
That's refreshing, especially for a young company like this. Investors want to know they're being straight with them.
Exactly. And they're backing it up with action. Even the chairman is super optimistic. He talks about having access to funding now that they're public, the ability to execute their sales plan. You can feel the confidence.
Okay, so we've got a potentially disruptive business model, they're hitting key markets, and they've got leadership that seems capable and transparent. So far, so good. But now for the nitty-gritty, the financials. What shape are they in?
Well, it's a mixed bag, to be honest. Pretty typical for a young tech company. Not profitable yet, which is something to watch.
Yeah, that's always on the investors' minds. But I'm guessing they're spending a lot on research and development.
Oh, absolutely. Pouring resources into R&D, good sign, shows commitment. And their revenue is growing, which tells you their products are finding a market.
So they're playing the long game, focusing on growth over immediate profits. But what about their debt? How's their balance sheet looking?
Here's the thing. Their balance sheet is a bit shaky. Negative shareholder equity. More debt than assets. Definitely a red flag.
Negative shareholder equity, never good. Makes you wonder about their long-term prospects.
Yeah.
Anything they're doing to address that?
Yeah, there's more to it. They've been restructuring their debt, getting rid of that risky convertible debt, and their earnings growth is outpacing the industry average, even the overall market.
So they're losing money but growing fast and trying to improve their finances. It's that classic high-risk, high-reward situation.
Exactly. Don't forget, they went public through a SPAC. That often comes with financial complexities, restructuring, so you have to take that into account.
Okay, we've covered a lot in this first part. From their business model, to their market strategy, to their leadership, even their financials. But before we go, a little teaser.
We talked about their ability to detect threats, but what if their technology could actually predict them? Stay tuned for that.
And in the meantime, check out the show notes for links to all the sources we've used.
And if you have any thoughts on ScanTech AI, hit us up in the comments. We love to hear from you.
Welcome back to our deep dive into ScanTech AI. Remember that mind-blowing question we left you with?
You teased that their tech might actually be able to predict threats. Sounds like something out of Minority Report. How would that even work?
It's all about the data. Imagine a system that can analyze mountains of information passenger manifests, travel patterns, cargo shipments, even social media chatter and weather conditions.
Okay, I get the data part, but how does that translate to predicting actual threats?
It's the algorithms, these super sophisticated algorithms. They sift through the data and find those subtle patterns, those anomalies that could point to a potential security breach. So it's like connecting the dots, but on a massive, massive scale.
Exactly. Seeing the big picture, finding those red flags that a human analyst might miss.
What kind of red flags are we talking about here?
It could be something as seemingly insignificant as a weird travel route, a sudden surge in online chatter about a specific event, or even just unusual cargo movements.
And the AI compares that to historical data to see if anything's out of the ordinary.
Exactly, looking for any deviations, anything that stands out.
It all sounds incredibly futuristic. Is ScanTech actually building this kind of technology, or is it just a pipe dream?
They haven't officially announced a predictive AI product yet, but all signs point to this being their main focus. Remember those partnerships? The tech giant and the car manufacturer?
Right, those did seem like a big deal. How do those fit into the whole predictive AI thing?
Those partnerships give ScanTech access to even more data and expertise in AI. It's like they're building an ecosystem, pooling resources and knowledge to make predictive security a reality.
So they're not trying to do it all alone. They're teaming up with the big players. Smart move.
Definitely. And they're not just relying on outside help. They've been beefing up their internal team, too.
Yeah.
Brought in a new CFO with tons of experience in financial reporting, compliance, all that.
Smart.
Huh?
Especially for a company looking to grow this fast.
Right. They're building the team they need to handle the challenges of being a public company.
Okay, starting to get the picture. The tech, the partners, the team, they seem to have the pieces in place. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Are there any downsides to this predictive AI?
Good question. Every technology has limitations. Predictive AI is no different.
What are some of the potential problems?
Data privacy is a big one. We're talking about collecting tons of personal information, travel details, online activity, maybe even financial data. Big ethical considerations.
Yeah, that makes me a bit uneasy.
Yeah.
How can you ensure that data is used responsibly, not for something shady?
That's the challenge. ScanTech needs to be upfront about how they collect data, have strong security measures, and build trust. It's about more than just the tech, it's the ethics, too.
So it's not just a tech issue, it's a societal issue. And we need to have these conversations now while the technology is still developing.
Absolutely. Another challenge is accuracy. No AI is perfect. You're always going to have the risk of false positives and false negatives.
What does that mean? False positives and negatives.
A false positive is when the system flags someone as a threat when they're not. A false negative is when it misses a real threat. Both can have serious consequences.
I can see how that would be a problem. Imagine being denied boarding because of a false positive. Or worse, the system misses a real threat and something terrible happens.
Exactly. High stakes. You could deny someone their freedom based on bad data or miss a threat that leads to a security breach.
It's a tough balance. Security versus individual rights.
Definitely not a simple issue. ScanTech needs to proceed carefully, understanding both the potential and the risks.
Okay, so predictive AI is a powerful tool, but not a perfect one. Lots of challenges, lots of responsibility.
For sure, but the potential is huge. If they can overcome these challenges and develop this technology ethically, it could revolutionize security.
And it's not just security. Think about the implications for healthcare, finance, transportation. It could change everything.
Exactly. It's a bit scary, but exciting too. It shows how technology is always changing, and we need to keep up and make sure it's used for good. To ScanTech's credit, they seem to get it. Their CEO talks about responsible development, building trust, that kind of thing.
So they're thinking about the big picture, not just the bottom line. That's encouraging.
It is, but we need to watch them closely, see how they handle these ethical and societal challenges.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about what the market thinks. What's the investor sentiment around ScanTech? Are people excited?
That's the question, right? Their stock has been up and down since they went public, partly just market volatility, but also investor perception.
What's driving that perception?
Some people might just see them as another security scanner company. They don't really get the AI angle, the long-term potential.
So they're focused on the short-term stock movements instead of the big picture.
Right. But despite the ups and downs, there's definitely some positive buzz. Those partnerships are creating excitement, building confidence.
Those kinds of partnerships can be huge, especially for a young company. It's validation, proof that they're on the right track.
Exactly. And analysts are starting to pay attention. More and more people are realizing that ScanTech isn't just another player. They could be a real disruptor.
Sounds like the tide might be turning. But let's not forget about their ownership structure. We talked about this earlier. Remind me, who owns the majority of ScanTech?
Seaport Global Asset Management. They own a hefty chunk, 24.17% of the company.
That's a lot. What does that mean for the company?
It's a mixed bag. It can be good for stability. Seaport Global has a big stake in seeing ScanTech succeed, so their influence could be positive.
So they're not just sitting back and watching, they're actually involved in the company's decisions.
Exactly, but it also raises some questions about conflicts of interest.
What do you mean?
What happens if their interests don't line up with other investors? Could they make decisions that benefit them at the expense of others?
That's a valid concern. Investors need to be aware of that.
They do. Transparency and accountability are key. Investors need to make sure Seaport Global is acting in everyone's best interest.
Okay, so ownership structure, something to keep in mind. Now let's move on to risk. Every investment has risks, and ScanTech is no exception.
Absolutely. Time to break down their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Right, strengths. We've already talked about their technology, those strategic partnerships, their focus on high-growth markets.
All good points. But weaknesses. Their financials are a big one. Negative shareholder equity, no profits. They need to show a path to profitability to really gain investor confidence.
So they need to prove that they can make money, not just cool tech. What else?
They're relying on a few key customers and contracts. Landing a big contract is great, but losing one could be devastating.
They need to diversify, spread their risk a bit.
Exactly. And of course, there's always competition.
The tech world is a tough place. Who are ScanTech's main competitors? How do they compare?
Great question. And that's what we'll be diving into in the final part of our deep dive. We'll look at the competitive landscape, analyze ScanTech's rivals, and figure out who's positioned to win this whole AI race.
I'm ready for that. Any other risks investors should think about?
Yeah, one more. Market manipulation and misinformation.
What do you mean by that?
We've already seen how volatility and short selling can affect their stock. There might be people out there trying to push the price down, maybe spreading rumors or negative info.
So investors need to be careful, do their own research. Don't just believe everything they read online.
Exactly. Critical thinking is essential. Separate fact from fiction. Make decisions based on solid evidence.
All right, we've covered a lot here. The potential of predictive AI, the market sentiment, ownership structure, and the risks.
ScanTech is a fascinating company, a lot going on, but that's what makes it so interesting to analyze.
Definitely. We're in the final part of our analysis of ScanTech AI. We've looked at their business, their financials, the whole predictive AI thing, even their ownership structure.
Now it's time to see how they stack up against the competition.
The security screening market's a tough business. Who are the big players that ScanTech is going up against?
You've got your established giants like Smith's Detection, Leidos, Rapiskin Systems. These guys have been around forever, global reach, tons of resources.
So how does a young company like ScanTech compete with those heavy hitters?
By being different. Remember their fixed gantry CT scanning tech. That's their secret weapon. Traditional CT scanners are huge, expensive. ScanTech's solution is compact, affordable, and just more efficient.
So they're not going after the same customers?
Not necessarily. They're targeting a different niche, the ones who need something cost-effective but still high security.
And their AI gives them an edge, right? Faster, more accurate?
Exactly. In busy places like airports and ports, speed is everything. Faster processing, fewer false alarms, that's what they offer.
Sounds like a pretty strong selling point. But the big players aren't just going to roll over, are they?
Of course not. Those established companies have deep pockets. They can pour money into research, marketing, acquisitions. They've also built a reputation over decades. That's hard to beat.
So it's David versus Goliath.
Maybe not quite. ScanTech is smart. Remember, they're focused on those niche markets. Correctional facilities, for example. The big guys might not be as strong there.
So ScanTech is playing a different game, focusing on their strengths.
Exactly. Plus, those partnerships with tech and automotive companies, they're not just fighting alone, they're building a network.
It's more like a team of challengers taking on the establishment. But even with all that, competition's fierce. What could trip ScanTech up?
The market is always changing. New threats, new technology, they have to keep innovating.
Innovation takes money and adaptability.
And things outside their control matter too. The economy, for example. If there's a recession, security spending might get cut.
True. And then there's regulation. The security industry has tons of roles. Any change there could be a problem.
They need to be ready for anything.
So the competitive landscape, it's complicated, lots of opportunity, but plenty of risks too. Big picture, what do you think about ScanTech? Company worth watching?
Definitely potential, but also big challenges. It comes down to execution. Can they grow? Can they compete? Can they deliver on their promises?
High risk, high reward. That seems to be the theme with ScanTech.
Exactly. If you're comfortable with risk, if you believe in their vision, then ScanTech might be worth a look.
Well, we've given you the information, the insights, the analysis. Now it's up to you to decide. Do your own research. Stay informed.
Make the decision that's right for you.
Remember, knowledge is power. And for those of you interested in the world of AI, check out the Stock Analytics AI YouTube channel. They've got tons of great content on AI companies and investing.
Great resource. Highly recommend it.
And as always, we want to hear from you. Leave us a comment, your thoughts, questions, any companies you'd like us to cover in future deep dives.
We're always looking for new ideas.
One last reminder, this deep dive is for informational purposes only, not investment advice. Talk to a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Always good advice.
And that's a wrap. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and happy investing.